ओम सदाशिव समारंभा शंकराचार्य मध्यमा अस्मदाचार्य पर्यंता वंदे गुरु परंपरा गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वर गुरु साक्षात् परम ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। ओम सहना भवतु सहनो भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहि तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहि। ओम शांति शांति शांति। So let us read verse number 56. अवच्छिन्नो यतो नास्ति देशकालस्वरूपतः आत्मनः सर्वथा तस्मात् आत्मा पूर्णो भवेत् खलु यस्मान्न विद्यते नासः पंचभूतैर्भूतात्मकैः तस्मादात्मा भवेन्नित्यः तन्नासो न भवेत् खलु। So we were discussing the all-pervading, infinite, limitless self, which is not limited by time or space either. The fullness, the completeness, that is me, and I need to abide with that me, not with insecurities. And of course we saw also, because of whose presence all these grossified five elements and of course put together called this universe come to an existence. And if that is not there, definitely all these things do not or will not exist either. And this me being eternal, it will never get destroyed. It was, it is, and it will be. So now while discussing this thing, let us read from this verse number 58 onwards. This is what our class today. Yasmat tadannyo nastiha tasmadekosti sarvada yasmat tadanyo mithya syat atma satyo bhavet khalu यस्मात् तदन्यो नास्तिह तस्मादेकोऽस्ति सर्वदा यस्मात् तदन्यो मिथ्या स्यात् आत्मा सत्यो भवेत् खलु। Says beautifully. If you look at यस्मात् तदन्यो नास्ति इह, so as there is no other substances, because it talks about indirectly the material cause of universe, as we have discussed in details in many occasions. If you say the God or anything that is the efficient cause of this universe, if God creates, question comes where from he creates. Where does he get material? Then you may say, yes, God being in heaven created, then heaven also is created. Where did he get the material to create heaven? So whatever he creates, where does he get material? So that means the material has to be different from him. So where from he gets material? Only when material is different from him, then we can say there is something different than this universe. But unfortunately, there cannot be different material altogether. The God has to be the both efficient and material cause. So because This is the most important aspect. There cannot be, like any other creator, there cannot be the substances and or the material cause and the efficient cause, and both will be contradicting each other. So to avoid that, he says, Yasmat tadanyo nasti yaha. As there is no other substances, because being the material cause, therefore what happens? It is always one. Tasmat ekah asti sarvada. All the time. Because you look at the material cause, not efficient cause. So that's why what happens? Moreover, yasmat tadanyo mithyashat. Once you understand this, the material cause, once you understand the material aspect, then what happens? Only the material is existing, nothing else. Everything is a false. It has got its name, time to falsify. Therefore, that is called truth indeed. It is like a goldsmith. Just observe this example. How the look differs, how really the approach differs. If you observe yourself, when you go to any ornament shop to buy some golden ornament, how you look at? What is your approach? Oh, this is good design, that is good design, this is latest design, that is old design. You pay based on what? Based on the design. So you are more engrossed in the projected world, or you can say in the product. So based on the product you pay, and because your value is based on the product, based on the design. Whereas if you observe the goldsmith, what does he do? Suppose you are going to return, means exchange, you are going for exchange. How he will look at? Will he take it from you as ornament, or will he pay you based on the gold that is in ornament? Just observe this point. The goldsmith will never look at whether it is modern ornament, especially when he wants to take from you to give you back money. Okay? He will say, so sorry, this much gold is there. What is the market rate of gold? And of course, 10% is the discount or 15% have to be removed. A lot of they have their own calculation. So finally, the goldsmith will pay you the value of the gold, not the value of ornament. So for goldsmith, the ornament what? Is just mithya, transactional, to make money. So for him, the reality is the gold. Can you see this? How practical that person at that moment. So that is what he says. Now moreover, without it, everything is false. As the goldsmith holds on, very careful, to the gold, but doesn't pay the ornament at all, doesn't pay for the ornament, only pays for the gold. But never dismisses that this is ornament. Looks at ornament, yes, good design. If you say, look, I only bought only 6 months or 1 year back. True, very looks nice. If it is please, you take it back. You be happy with your ornament. But if you want me to buy, I will only pay the gold money, nothing else. That is called understanding. So how this goldsmith sees through is the most important aspect. How the goldsmith sees through gold only, so also we need to see through one's own self, the consciousness through this world. Therefore, that is called truth indeed. And that truth to be appreciated all the time. Okay, but how things moves? Beautifully, 59 verse. Avidya bhuta samsare dukkhanase sukham yataha jnanat adyanta shunyam syat tasmadatma bhavet sukham. Avidya bhuta samsare dukkhanase sukham yataha ज्ञानाद्यन्त शून्यं स्यात् ज्ञानाद् आद्यन्त शून्यं स्यात् तस्मादात्मा भवेत् सुखम्. Just beautifully. Avidya bhuta samsara. If you look at this, is beautiful. This is you can really, if you look at that this samsara, what you see this world. Samsara means that which keeps changing. Samyak rupe saratiti samsara. That which keeps changing every moment. So this world is nothing but the embodiment of ignorance and its product. Samsara, avidya bhuta samsara. So that's why these are the one word you need to really dwell upon. Okay, this world is avidya bhuta, embodiment of ignorance and its product. So once you know this is the embodiment of this ignorance and product, then what happens? Of course, there will be fluctuation, there will be changes, and when things keeps changing, I should not change. When, this is the most important aspect, what happens is, when you look at this samsara is not avidya bhuta, it is vidya bhuta. It's the embodiment of knowledge. This is the truth. This is not the, falsified in nature, but this appears as the truth. Then what happens? You get carried away. You get affected. You get agitated. Just look at whatever you hold on to. Your name pen, your whatever you have, small things or big things, whatever, and including your body finally. We'll be seeing later on as we unfold. So whatever you hold on to, you think that is the ultimate, that is the truth. Remember, all are the embodiment of this ignorance, subject to go through the destruction, subject to fall down, subject to change. So when they keep changing, so when they get destroyed, I am not destroyed, I am not getting changed. But unfortunately, because of the identification with these things, when they change, I also change. When they are destroyed, I also destroyed. That's why in one place very nicely says, Putre pushte aham prushta, Putre nashte aham nashta. Finally what happens? I become son. Means when the son is very, this is called mother standpoint, when the son is very healthy, that time mother feels very happy. Mother says, oh, I am healthy. And when the son means a child, when the child is not healthy, sick, mother also feels sick. So what does it mean? Aham putra iti, I am child. Because the person, the parents, the father or mother, whatever, has identified one's own self so much with the child, there is no difference between child and me. Extension of me is called child. That's why if anything goes wrong with the child, first thing the mother or father gets affected. Have you not seen? So as that happens with reference to child, this is a very common example. It can happen with reference to anything wherever you are attached. That's why may you know that this samsara is avidyavata. You need to understand. Being the embodiment of this ignorance, this universe, you need not get attached. You need to see, you need to create a distance between the object and you. In fact, we say, while experiencing, this is the first thing one should learn. While experiencing, create a distance between the object of experience and process of experiencing. And that will happen when the experiencer is being reminded that, hey, you are just playing a role of an experiencer. Can you see this point? While experiencing, while going through, that is another thing. While going through, learn to create the distance between the object of experience and the process of experiencing. And that will happen, please understand, when you are aware that you are an experiencer and you have picked up a role. It is just a role. You are playing a role at this moment. The more you are aware of this role, more it becomes easier and convenient. Whereas, please understand, if you forget that you are not experiencer, the more you close, the more you get closed or attached, whatever, with the object experience and experiencer, the more it gets associated, the more bond, thick bond takes place between the experiencer and the object of experiences, objects of experience. Then what happens? You will discover that process of experiencing is completely overwhelmed, is completely, ignored, or it is such a process that only you say, oh, I had a good experience or I didn't have experience. That's why you can see when you go through tough time. That's also one type of experience. When you go through tough time, now and then there is some type of distance between you and the object of objects of experience, whether that person, situation, or object, whatever it may be. Some type of disturbance, some type of distance is being created naturally. And of course, if you do not see that distance, then what happens? You get depressed. When you go along with it, you become completely hopeless. And of course, helpless first, then hopeless. That's why he says, let us not get into too much. He says, this is how people look at. Common people thinking is that how to be happy. This is what truth is. Happiness is there all the time. Common people think that, you have to achieve happiness. You have to work. It's not like that. Here it says that happiness is there all the time. But you are unhappy because of your problem, because of your habit and imagination. Problem means your habit and imagination, which we have said. Now what you need to is, once you destroy the difficulties, the sorrow, the worries and anxieties, happiness remains. That's why you don't have to work to be happy. Most important aspect in your life. You don't have to work to be happy. You must work to resolve your worries and anxieties. You must work to resolve your sorrows. Can you see the difference? If you start working to be happy, that is how people do it. Oh, okay, I want to be happy. That's why I'm doing it. Please. If you are working to be happy, your happiness is not going to last long. That is how people get frustrated in their life. So here we say, work to get rid of, work to resolve the worries and anxieties that you have. So how to resolve, how to get rid of? Creating the distance between the objects of experience and the experiencer. The moment you create distance between the object of experiences and experiencer, then try to understand the nature of experiencer, the truth about the experiencer, then what happens? You will have difficulties in your life. Please understand. You will have tough time in your life, but you will not be miserable. You will not be unhappy. So that's what is being highlighted. The destruction of sorrow means gaining of happiness. And of course, through the knowledge, what happens? The sorrow, which had beginning and of course will have an end. And once this sorrow goes away, you remain always happiness. Therefore the self remains happiness. Or self remains happy all the time. That means I am happiness. You can see for yourself. To be happy, do you have to do anything? But to be unhappy, you have to do many things. Because happiness is in nature. That's why many times in your life, without doing anything, you are happy. But without doing anything, please understand, without doing anything, you can never become unhappy. To become unhappy, you need to do something. If nothing else, at least you have to fight with your mind. You have to fight with your memory, or you have to go back to some unwanted incidents that you have gone through, or you have to get into your coming future projections. So that means to become unhappy, you have to do something. Whereas to be happy, you don't have to do anything. Just try to manage the sorrows. Try to manage why you are unhappy. Automatically you are happiness, because your nature itself is happiness. That's what is being highlighted. That's why in life, you don't have to work to be happy. This is to be taken today. You don't have to work to be happy. You are happiness. You need to work to improve yourself so that you can handle any moment the sorrow or worries and anxieties trying to take over. It is exactly like, there is no beautiful story goes. There was a student who was studying with a master, and the master said, look, now time has come. You have to go out. But however, I will not be able to teach few things which is really practical and day-to-day life, useful for day-to-day life. But for you, there is a master who is working in a star hotel, and maybe he will help you to teach you a few things. And this student was very proud because he was studying under such a great master, very famous master, and that too he is a best student. So he said, okay, that means the person who is working in the star hotel must be much greater than my master. So with this pride, he went there. And when he approached, came to know this is the person, right person, he could not believe something is wrong with him. How could it be as ordinary waiter? Ordinary person, there is no lifestyle, nothing is there. But he can be the final teacher for me. It's impossible. But the moment he asked, look, my master has sent you. Yes, very good. If he has sent, no problem, you have to be with me. Just follow me what I am saying, doing it. He followed him 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. Then after that, teach me something. He said, just follow me. And this fellow got really restless. What is happening? There is nothing to do. Every day he keeps cleaning room. And that is called teaching. What is this? I cannot waste my time like this. He doesn't do anything. He doesn't bother. No question, answer, nothing. He just comes and keeps cleaning. And the worst thing he does every day, that even if the room is not being used and everything is airtight, closed, still he goes and keeps cleaning everything. What is this? Some obsession in him. Then he asked, what is going on? I can't. What are you teaching? Will you please? He said, look, this is what I have been teaching you so long. Now what? Please understand. Have you not observed I keep cleaning all the time? Yes, that is what I am noticing. Nothing other than that. He said, this is called life. Even if people are not using the room, it is being closed. Still what happens? Dust keeps coming. Have you not observed? Even if everything is closed, still when you clean, you find some dust. Yes. But it is manageable. This is what called manageable. That's why it is called star hotel. Please understand. Ordinary hotel, I can understand if it is really 5 or 7 star, I cannot afford. As even if not used, the room gathers dust, so also mind. Job of the mind is to gather dust. The moment it is exposed to any experience, whether externally or internally, remember this is most important aspect in your life. The moment your mind gets exposed to any sort of experiences, whether it is externally or internally, the vasanas, the impressions, do stick to your mind in the form of malam called impurities. And if that impurities is not being taken care, If that impurity is not being polished or removed or not cleared by different means, definitely you will be more and more unhappy. You will get dragged towards that object or that, please understand, the experience. That is how life is. And there is not a single moment when your mind is not attached towards any experience, including when you are doing meditation. Sometimes what you do, in the name of meditation, you start doing what? You know, very nicely. There is a beautiful story goes. There was a great, in fact, this was my childhood story which actually made me, which had created a big impact in my life, I would rather say. So there was a Swami, in fact he was Avadut. So I have spent a lot of time in his ashram when I was a teenager. That he happens to be a, let us say, prince. And he gave up and he was Avadut. And one day he goes to a king's place. And when he goes there, and of course he had a lot of siddhis. And the person, the guards of this palace, they said, no, sorry, you cannot enter. He said, why? What is wrong in it? I am entering. And of course he had siddhi, he could enter. So then nearer person said, now our king is doing meditation. So he smiled, he laughed loudly, he said, okay, tell your king that one Swami came. Very disappointed. But he has left this message that, please, don't bargain with black horse too much. So of course this message, when the king completed his meditation, his puja or whatever, so when it came out, okay, one person came and one Swami came and told this message that tell your king that he should not bargain too much with his black horse. And he was shocked. He said, how is it possible? Where is he gone? And of course he searched, because while doing meditation he was bargaining with the black horse. Actually this black horse is good, maybe I can get rid of it, I can get other one, so few other horses I can get it. So in the name of meditation, he was calculating, he was bargaining with his assets. Now tell me, is it meditation or it is calculation? That's why life, you have to understand how to create this distance between the object of experiences and the experiencer. That's why please remember, once this is there, you will discover that you are happy all the time. Okay, now let us read the next. Yasmat nasitam ajnanam jnanena vishwakaranam tasmat atma bhavet jnanam jnanam tasmat sanatanam yasmat nasitam ajnanam jnanena vishwakaranam tasmat atma bhavet jnanam jnanam tasmat sanatanam. This is beautiful. If you observe, these are the 2 points he says. We have already discussed that from the self this whole universe is being created. Now the self being the background, and at the same time what happens? Now this ignorance now creates a lot of difficulties and creates diversities. Now he uses beautiful, this is called understanding, this is called creating or giving some thought to the logical mind. He says, look, as you know, yasmat ajnanam nasitam, and how it is jnanenam. So he says beautifully that as you know, the ajnanam becomes the vishwakaranam, becomes the cause of this universe. This ignorance, please understand. Because why he uses this word ignorance is the cause of this universe. We have to understand. Because a projection, ignorance is, this universe is nothing called a projection. Like how we have discussed this point, your dream world is nothing but your projection. And how that projection happens? Because of your ignorance. So also, this world is being projected, it is also product of ignorance. But this is the problem we have discussed in details. With reference to my personal projected world called dream, I am part of it. I am under the spell of it. But whereas with reference to the God's projection, God is free from it. In fact, whoever has knowledge can be free from it. That's why sometimes if you are conscious, there are some dreams you see. In the dream, you are a free person. Sometimes inside a dream, there is another dream. Have you ever not observed? In your dream, you are dreaming. And when in your dream, you are dreaming and this dream happens like, the tiger is chasing, you see that is a dream in them. Then what happens? When you get up, how happy you are. While, please understand, dreaming you are not afraid because in dream there is a dream. How it is possible? Same thing also, sometimes it happens. Same thing also, God is this. So that's why he says, since ignorance, now which is the cause of this universe? Now is it destroyed by what? Jnana. The avidya will be destroyed by vidya. So if this is the case, ajnanam destroyed by jnanam, that's why it says, tasmat. Now, therefore what remains? Knowledge remains. And self also remains. That means what? There cannot be two. Because everything we are talking one. That means what? Self is knowledge. Like we remember we used to study this called LHS, right? RHS. It's very nice. Okay? So left LHS. LHS, RHS. I forgot, completely forgot the full form now. I'm sorry. Because what we do, like, to start with this algebra, a plus b whole square, a square plus b square plus 2ab. So this is called LHS, left a plus b whole square is LHS, that one is RHS. So we have to make sure LHS is equal to RHS. Some way or other, if we can manage to make it, that means our algebra is over. Our calculation is perfect. I remember, just I am trying to say. So here is being highlighted very carefully, very nicely, that the self is there all the time and one. And knowledge destroys the ignorance. And after destroying the ignorance, of course, knowledge remains. So there cannot be two things, knowledge and self. That's why self is knowledge. So if this is the case, this knowledge is eternal, the self is eternal. That's why, please understand, next verse. Kalato vividam vishwam yadha chaiva bhaved idam tadekosti saevatma kalpana pathavarjita. Kalato vividham vishwam yada chaiva bhaved idam tadekosti saevatma kalpana pathavarjita. This is beautiful. You don't have to worry about all these things. We say this is what a beautiful concept we do have. Whether you look at Saivite, you look at Vaishnavite, or you look at Sakta, three concepts, both are there. If you look at, especially, look at Sakta concept, which is very popular, Kali, Mother Kali. So Kali means who is the embodiment of Kala, who really can control the Kala. And he will have the heads, the garland of heads, skull full of. And he will be holding one fresh head in the hand. Blood will be oozing. Amazing thing to understand. So We said, each skull stands for one kalpa, one pralaya, one resolution. So this type of universe has come many times and has gone many times. So this galaxy that you see has come to existence many times, also it will go away. You don't have to worry. It keeps changing, because our human mind or so-called scientific mind is very limited. We are just aware of, you can see, it's very nicely in India especially we say, this this what you call Columbus. So Columbus wanted to discover, this what you call, do the invention. What is that? India. And finally he ended up in some other place. And he took the pride, look, I invented. And you know how, all about it. So each one tries to do this thing. Even if also the scientists try to discover, what do they discover? They just want to take the credit. They just try to see what is there. Nothing else. It is like Newton. This named is called, law of gravity. Not that Newton created law of gravity. There is a law of gravity. The apple keeps falling every day. Before Newton it was falling. Now also it is falling. He did not change anything. But he just named, and he is called a great scientist. So this scientific approach or this analytic approach is so limited. And that too with reference to this universe, when you look at, it's really not that healthy either. We have to really be careful. So scientific analysis, or this is, let us say, analytical mind, actually limits our way of living and way of thinking. So here is being highlighted. So each skull in the Kali stands for one kalpa. And the last kalpa was the last head. So that means we say there are many Vishnus have come, many Shivas, many Brahmas, everybody has come and again gone. In Vaishnavite we say like every Loma Kupa. Loma Kupa means, this Loma means this hair. So that hair, where you do, in every root of the hair, one kalpa. That means how many kalpas, how many creations have come and gone, God only knows. So this is the vastness. You don't have to think of, only, this is the only universe, and this is the, many people think, no, this world is only universe. Some religious people also highlight that. That's why when a scientist tried to think beyond, because in a religious approach something was told, and when he said, no, world is not like that, that scientist was crucified. Means given capital punishment. Not crucified, capital punishment. However, he says beautifully, if you observe, Kalato Vividam Vishwam. In time, there are different types of universe has manifested. But remember, all of them have their root in oneself. This is the most important aspect. That means when this karma theory as when this world will come to an end, still all this karma theory, all our karma will get into seed format, again will come back. It is exactly like when we individual die. If we are not able to resolve our karma, means by understanding ourselves only one way, nothing else. What will happen? It becomes seed format. It goes to the Karana Sarira. From Karana Sarira, again Karana Sarira based on that, again helps to manifest both Shukshma Sarira and Stula Sarira. Subtle body and gross body. It is nothing but one individual karma. So today who you are, whatever body you have, is based on your karma phala. So also the total karma phala cannot go anywhere. It has to be there somewhere. So that's what he says. Everything that you see, there are many times This universe comes to an end again, it starts getting formed, but all them really have only one root, that is oneself, that is me. And of course, if this is the case, which he says beautifully, cannot be comprehended by human thought. Kalpana patha vivarjita. People cannot think of, that's why he's a scientist, because when I am just trying to tell you about this particularly, this especially Indian way of thinking, long back, Indian thoughts have said that there are different planets. So if you die here, you will be born in some other planet, there is possibility and lot of things, and they are better. Now we are talking about aliens. And sometimes they try to say, oh, their life is much better. Still it is in hypothesis, please understand, because of few observations here and there. And if we observe the thing that is being discussed, especially, we have discussed very beautifully, beautiful point is there in Hanuman Chalisa. One particular line has been said very nicely, which explains the distance between the earth and sun. And now present modern day scientists have really come to the conclusion, yes, that is the exactly same distance. And if you try to look at many things, so how it had happened? Because this is what, it cannot be comprehended. Something comes to them and that is how they have written. And when they write, you say, oh, these are imaginations, these are the stories, these are the cock and bull stories. This is called analytical mind. Analytical mind, when cannot satisfy one's own ego, will dismiss. Remember this thing. Especially when you dismiss something without any cause, without any result, that means you are taking shelter with your analytical mind, which is not healthy for you, not for others. Because when you take the help of this analytical mind without a purpose, without any result, that means what? You want to prove yourself that you are better. Because there is some type of sense of insecurity in you. However, let us look at the next verse. Bahyani sarvabhutani vinasham yanti kalatah yato vacho nivartante atma dvaita vivarjita. Bahyani sarvabhutani vinasam yanti kalatah yato vacho nivartante atma dvaita vivarjita. Yes, beautifully. Again it says, in time, if you observe, Bahyani sarvabhutani vinasam yanti kalatah. Kalatah, in time. All these Bahyani sarvabhutani, all these external objects, vinasam yanti, will perish. Because as they are created in time, definitely they have to be destroyed in time. Whereas if you look at Atma remains. And interestingly, Atma is something Dvaita Vivarjita, free from duality. That means whatever is duality, that is subject to be destroyed, whatever it may be. And interestingly says beautifully, Yato Vacha Nivartante, this Atma, this is self, cannot be described by words, which we have seen in details. So when it is something cannot be destroyed by mere words, at the same time free from duality, which exists all the time. But all this thing that we see keeps perishing, keeps coming and going. So that's why we don't have to stick to that. Let us look at next verse beautifully. Nakham vayurna chagnischa na jalam prithibhi na cha naitat karyam niswaradi Purnekatma bhavet khalo nakham vayurna chagnischa na jalam prithibhi na cha naitat karyam naswaradi Purnekatma bhavet khalo. Says beautifully. Atma purna iti. The self alone is all pervasive. That fullness, completeness is only with one, that is called self, the me, nothing else. Or other than that, even if the space that you see, the space has got capacity to accommodate. Where does it get? In fact, that is not all pervasive, because I have space limitation also in me. And air, fire, water, earth, all these 5 elements. And of course, their combinations. All this put together, they are not all pervasive. They have their own limitations. In fact, when there are 2 things, there is limitation. Each one tries to limit others. Simple minimum logic. We say that is called oneness, that is called all pervasive, that is called Purnam, that is called omnipresent. What they say, use the word omnipresent, God as omnipresent, without explaining much, they say. These 2 hands, just observe. Wherever there is 2, cannot be omnipresent. Now this palm is here, not here. If this has to be here, cannot be 2. Because desha kala, please understand, any vastu, any object has to be available everywhere in the same time, and also with reference to the place. The place and the time must not restrict. When there are more than one object is there, definitely the other one will definitely limit, either with reference to time or with reference to place. So that's why he beautifully says in this verse, all the 5 elements are limited in nature. Forget about them. Even if the creator, and of course other gods, we say Brahma, Vishnu, all these, those the one who is in charge of preserving this universe. All of them also are subject to go through change. And remember, they are not all pervasive either, relatively. But only one thing is indeed all pervasive. When they understand themselves, that is how the difference between the God and me. That's why we say, when I understand myself, I am God. When I don't understand me, of course I am as I am. If this is the case, we will see the next verse onwards. New concept. The concept of this knowledge and the Maya. So as you know, with this I stop it. Maya is a beautiful concept. That Maya is nothing but the product of ignorance which appears to be real. So basically, Ma, that which is not, Ya, that which in reality which is not there, but it appears as though, that is called Maya, insert called illusion. So my projection, most of the time in reality is not there, but it is there for me. In fact, I live it, I fight, I do a lot of things, I do not observe. But in reality it is not there. You keep projecting unnecessarily sometimes. Same thing also, common Maya, common example is this mirage. So mirage, you know, in reality mirage is not, there is no water, but it appears as though there is water body. Then you keep running. So in reality it is not there, but still sometimes you get carried away, you run behind it. So this, how this knowledge and Maya, you need to really see this very carefully, which we will be discussing tomorrow onwards. Please close your eyes. Om Purnamada Purnamitam Purna Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.